No, I was saying we did do the audio check. That was the audio check. So welcome to Creature Crunch, the show where we watch a movie and then we chase that monster down and beat it into some like cargo container, and then we're surprised when a whole bunch of other D&D monsters come to kill us. My name is Matt,
and I am a giant alien gorilla wolf motherfucker.
This week we were covering one of Chris's movies.
Yeah,
one that he wanted to do just to watch the movie again, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, because it's a very good movie.
It was a good movie. I like this movie.
Yeah, this movie is Attack the Block.
Attack the Block.
Yep.
Yes, starring the John Boyega.
And Jodie Whittaker.
Yep. So
we got Finn from Star Wars and the most recent Doctor in here. And Nick Frost.
A
random Nick Frost.
Random Nick Frost.
Who I'm pretty sure they just picked off the set of Paul and was like, okay, here, just... you sit here and you get as stoned as possible.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
I get paid for this?
Yeah, he as much as I enjoy watching Nick Frost and like the Nick Frost Simon Pegg movies, he did seem very out of place in this one.
Like, yeah. He didn't have a whole lot to do. He was more of a location than a person.
Right. But before we jump into that, obviously, what do we think?
I like it.
Movie.
It's a good movie.
Yep, love this movie. Can't recommend it enough.
Yep. It's one of the better practical effect movies of the past few years.
Past few years, he says about a movie that is a decade old at this point.
Well, whatever. You know. Time stopped in 2020. It's still 2020. It's like, what, the 19th month of March 2020?
But that would still make this movie like 9 years old.
Shut up, man.
I know, I hate it. But
I blame you for that. You in particular.
Check it out if you haven't already, and this one may not have, actually. I think this one's a little bit more obscure than...
It's definitely received a lot of critical acclaim and, like, cult status after the fact. It didn't do great, at least in American box offices, when it was...
That does not surprise me.
Yeah, when it first released. But it's definitely received more attention after John Boyega got cast in Star Wars and after Jodie Whittaker got cast as the newest Doctor. People went back and were like, oh, this has these two really famous people in it now. Let's check it out. And then, oh, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
So it's definitely picked up since then.
Well, because I know that I wouldn't have even caught onto this movie had I not seen a few like select GIFs back on Tumblr in 2012 or something like that.
Right.
And since then, I mean, it's not a movie I hear very often.
No, I mean, it's like I said, it's definitely got cult status, and it's definitely popular with the people who have watched it. It's pretty much universally highly rated.
It's good.
Yeah, and there's a sequel that's slated to come out. It's in pre-production right now.
All right, I didn't know that.
Uniting Boyega with director Joe Cornish again.
Sweet.
So I don't think Jodie Whittaker's coming back. Yeah, I don't know how many of the other kids are coming back for this because now they're no longer kids.
Right.
I mean, Boyega was a little old for the role when he got cast.
Yeah, I have notes about that in...
Yeah, he's not 15.
No.
He says he's supposed to look 15.
No, he is supposed to be older than he is. I mean, she even makes a reference to that in the movie. But like, I remember watching that when he says that, it's like he's like, "I'm 15," and it's like, if you're 15, I'm 20.
Yeah.
And then I had to quickly Google to see when John Boyega was born, and he was 19 when he was in this.
Which isn't much older.
It isn't much older, no. But I mean,
and he's got a very baby face.
He does.
He's got a cute round face. I like him.
But
John Boyega is a great guy, and I like seeing him and stuff.
We're gonna jump into this.
Yep.
Of course, as always, there are going to be spoilers here. So if you haven't checked out Attack the Block, I definitely recommend watching it before this.
Yeah.
But Chris, take us away.
Okay. So we open on fireworks shooting off for Guy Fawkes Night in South London. And we see that Sam, Jodie Whittaker, is walking home from work, talking to her mom on the phone, telling her about all the stuff that's going on, about how her day's been going and how she wants to see her, but hasn't been able to yet, so on and so forth. And then a group of masked teens led by Moses, John Boyega, start menacing her, riding their bikes at her, surround her, and mug her.
They're hoodlums.
Yeah. And this incident is actually based off of something that happened to the director.
Oh, really?
Joe Cornish, yeah.
Okay.
He lives in South London and was mugged by a bunch of kids one night, and while it was going on, he noticed that the kids mugging him were way more scared than he was about what was going on.
Sure.
And he's like, okay, what in the world would make these kids, like, for one thing, feel that they had to do that, and two, make them so scared about doing it but still have to do it?
Sure.
So he started thinking about that, and then he's like, okay, well, you know, he started talking to kids in the area, like, what's going on with your lives? Why do you feel you have to do this? And so on and so forth. And then he started thinking, like, okay, what if there was, like, some big disaster that happened here, and all these kids had to be the protectors of their area? Like, who would stand up for them? Who would join them? Like, what would happen? And that's where the idea for this came from.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, although that like, I can see how that conception comes through, but it doesn't actually play into the movie a huge amount, because the mugging and things happen before the disaster.
Right.
But I can definitely see how he drew the line there and connected the dots. And I mean, you do get a little bit of that social commentary in the movie.
Definitely, especially later on in the movie.
Right, but cool. I dig it. Cool.
Mm-hmm. They rob Sam, take off and start going through her stuff, and then something crashes into a car next to them, like a big fireball object.
An asteroid.
An asteroid meteor,
or something.
yeah.
Because in the beginning of the movie, it pans down and you see that before you even see the fireworks.
Right.
But yeah. Also, I have to say that the first time I watched this movie way back when, I didn't watch it with subtitles.
Yeah.
I had no clue what the hell was going on in the entire movie at all. And this time I watched it with subtitles. And thank God for that, because whoa, man, these kids talk fast.
They talk really fast, and there's a lot of crosstalk.
I have a lot of difficulty understanding thick accents as it is. And then you add in all of the heavy slang.
There's a lot of usage of slang in
this.
It
is.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's great. It is. It's fun to listen to. Like, even back then, I enjoyed listening to it. I had no idea what they were saying. They may as well have been speaking another language entirely. Like, it's intense. But yeah, now with subtitles, I was able to enjoy it a lot more.
Right. I don't know about you, but I watched it on Amazon. I had to rent it from them.
Yeah.
Because no one else has it at the moment.
Yep.
Yay.
Yep.
I really wish the Amazon subtitles had character names stapled to lines a lot more than it does.
Yeah.
Because, like, when you get a lot of that crosstalk and, like, the fast talk, it's like, okay, this person's saying this person's saying this. Who the hell is saying what? I don't know.
Well, no, the subtitles themselves had difficulty keeping up.
They did.
Like,
There's a lot of mistakes.
There were huge chunks of lines that were just left out because like the program doing the subtitles is like, fuck, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really funny.
But yeah, asteroid crashes into car.
So, yeah, the car is totaled, and this actually comes back later on, which is very funny. Moses starts checking out the vehicle, trying to figure out what happened, like, breaks into it.
Well, it's less of he wants to know what happened, and more of he was looking to see if there's anything valuable in it.
But at the same time, he is kind of curious about, like, what crashed into this car. While Moses is checking it out, he is attacked by some sort of creature that slashes up his face.
Yeah, and then between this and Carnosaur, I'm learning that a scratch on the cheek is of a revengeable act.
Yeah,
I mean, to be fair, Moses like got really scratched.
He got really kind of messed up. These things are sharp.
Yeah, whereas like Carnosaur, it was like a little chicken scratch.
Yeah,
but still,
literally,
I just wanted to. I thought that was an interesting parallel.
Yeah. But Moses like swears vengeance against this goddamn thing, and him and the rest of his gang track it down to kill it. They chase it into, like, a wooden playground structure.
I don't know. I called it a shipping crate or like, just a big crate of some sort.
Well, like, the thing is, there's swings next to it.
I know. It was weird, but it's a crate. And all them boys go in there.
Well, they first, one of the other kids, Pest, throws some firecrackers in there and, like, startles it and, like, makes it all nervous. And then the rest of the gang jumps in there and they beat the shit out of it and kill it.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever seen, like, an alien get jumped.
Yeah, no, like they go in there and there's a lot of boys in that crate.
Yeah.
That creature didn't stand a chance.
Yeah. And after they kill it and like they're celebrating and talking about how they beat the crap out of it and they're so hard because they murdered this alien.
Yep.
Camera zooms out and we see a bunch more objects crashing down towards the city. And we get our title.
Yep. And as they're walking back, they're dragging the thing, and as like their trophy, one of the boys makes a reference to Gears of War.
Some kind of non-found out about creature. Yeah, like some Gears of War thing, trust.
Yes, I know, back by 10.
Yeah.
And I started taking notes of every single reference
There's
that I
a lot
caught.
of pop culture references in
Yeah,
this.
I'm sure I missed a few.
Yeah.
And there's probably quite a few that went over my head. I mean, there's a lot of music, like rap references that I definitely didn't pick up on. I didn't notate too much, but...
But yeah, they say it's a Gears of War type thing. They
Yeah.
call it Dobby.
Hey, it's freezing, man.
Look like Dobby the house over.
Mother's got shanked by a Dobby.
And and then later they talk about like they should have stayed home and played FIFA.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Like I said, I made a note.
There's so many, and it's really cool. Like a lot of the dialogue was, if not improvised by the kids, was at least inspired by them from interviews that Joe Cornish did while casting them.
Oh, wow.
He set out a casting net of like 1,400 kids and interviewed all of them, basically.
Oh, wow.
Like him and his crew. And pieced together the dialogue from all of them.
Oh,
and like
wow.
was like, okay, what would you say in this situation? And like there's that one line later on where Dimples says that she doesn't want to touch it because she'll get chlamydia.
Yeah.
That's 100% derived from what she said when like Joe Cornish showed her the pup and was like, okay, what would you say if you saw this? She's like, I wouldn't want to touch it. I'd get chlamydia. And he's like, that's hilarious. Okay, I'm putting that in the script.
Could be diseased, you get me?
I don't want no chlamydia.
Okay, that makes sense as to why like the dialogue does feel it feels real.
It pops. It feels sharp and like real. Like all the slang and everything is how these kids talk. Like it's great in that
you
aspect.
definitely don't get the like, oh, this is how Hollywood thinks kids talk.
Right,
No,
right.
this is how kids fucking talk.
These are some of the best like kid and teen actors I've seen in a movie like, in
100%.
a long time.
Absolutely, which is hard to do.
It's really hard to do. But I mean, like, part of it is you get kids who talk like kids and let them talk like kids. You don't try
Yeah.
and put adult language in their mouth.
Yeah, no. A lot of Hollywood does, a lot of big movies just in general do that.
Yeah.
Where, and I mean, it's like these writers, they aren't kids. They are so out of touch with normal society as it is.
right. And like even Mayhem and Probs in this movie, like the little kids who are like 12,
10 to 12.
like they are really funny and good.
Uh-huh.
And like in any other movie, I would probably find them insufferable because
Right.
they wouldn't talk like kids talk. They wouldn't act like kids. They would act like writers trying to write like kids.
Yeah.
But it's really good, and the dialogue is just so sharp in this movie. Anyway, moving on. When we cut back from the opening, we see Sam rushing into her apartment, like really shook up by the experience of being mugged by these kids. She runs into Margaret, another person who lives in the building.
Who's the sweetest old lady.
Yeah, it's really funny. I don't think we actually see her again throughout the mayhem, so
We don't.
Man, I hope she lived. And they start talking about what's going on. Sam says that she tried to call the police, but this is the busiest night of the year, so they haven't been able to get to her yet.
Yeah. I think we can relate here in the States.
Yeah. The gang starts dragging the corpse of this monster around like a prize.
Yep.
While they're going through what they took from Sam, taking her credit cards, and they're like, oh shit, she was a nurse. She doesn't make very much. We just robbed another poor person.
Mm-hmm.
They run into a group of girls who live in the building and start like teasing them with the monster corpse. Sam finally is able to talk to the police about it, but since they were all wearing masks, she kind of gives them really vague descriptions about, like, one was wearing a hat, one was wearing a different kind of hat.
Yeah, she gives the type of description I probably would give.
Right.
Honestly, hers is probably even more descriptive.
Yeah. She noticed that one of the hats had red on it.
Yeah, like, I would not have
Yeah.
picked up on that. I didn't pick up on that watching
Yeah.
this movie. It's, I don't know, he had a face. He was a kid.
Yeah.
Looked like a man.
The kids drag the corpse up to Nick Frost's apartment.
Yep, Nick Frost suddenly appears.
Yeah, wild Nick Frost appears.
Well, they do kind of lead in. There's precedent for them going to him. Like we learned that he grows weed.
Yeah,
and
he's a supplier.
yeah,
in the area.
he also likes to watch nature documentaries.
Right.
And so they're like, well, we'll take it to him and see if he can identify what it is. Because they had no idea what it was. They're like, is it a monkey? No, it's too bald. And like, I don't know. They're trying to figure out what it is. But Because this thing looks gross.
It looks really gross. It doesn't have eyes. It's completely hairless, or like almost completely hairless.
Yeah.
And then it's got wicked jaws and claws.
Yeah.
It looks like a shaved monkey.
Yeah.
A shaved blind monkey.
Shaved blind monkey.
Yep. So they show it to Ron, Nick Frost, and he's like, okay, that's not any sort of terrestrial life form I've heard of, and I am a stoner who watches nature documentaries, so I know.
Yeah. He's pretty... he wants them to show it to hi-hats.
The hi-hats,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But first, Bruce is in the room with them, and is really trying to ingratiate himself into their group. Like, he's this 20-year-old guy, and he really wants to, like, get along with these 14 to 16-year-old kids.
Yeah.
And he is just sitting in Ron's front room smoking weed with them.
Mm-hmm.
But he
is what I would have been if I was a 20-year-old stoner.
Right, yeah. But he is just way too much of a twit to, like, get along with them. He's trying to use their slang, and he's not of the right area to do that, I guess you'd say. Like,
no, he's trying to fit in, but he is not fitting.
Yeah. He's a different strata than they are, you might say.
Yeah.
But he's really trying, and he's not a bad guy, he's just a twit.
Yep.
Jokes, man, jokes.
Oh, go home, sir.
Yeah, jokes. He does have one really good line later on, though.
Mm-hmm.
So Moses asks Ron to keep the corpse in the weed room, and they take it back there and run into Hi-Hats and... Is that Beats? I can't remember the other guy's name.
I thought it started with a T.
Tonks. Yeah. Hi-Hats is like the lead dealer of the area, and he's like ringleader type guy.
This is going to show my whiteness, but
yeah.
he is like the gang member alpha.
Wow.
He's the leader of the gangs.
Yeah, okay. And when they drop off the corpse, Hi-Hats tries to get Moses to deal for him. He's saying, like, you're not making any money just mugging people and doing that shit. You got to start selling some higher quality drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So, gives him a packet of, I believe, cocaine, because he talks about dealing white.
Yeah.
So that's what I believe it is. But once again, I do not know. That's not my area of expertise.
Right. It's also, like, the cultural difference, even just from 2011 till now. It's
right.
Like, you know, weed is really legal back then, and especially in London at that time. Yeah. And now, here in living in Colorado in 2022,
in SoCo, like we have a dispensary like 3 blocks from here.
Yeah, you spit and there's a dispensary, like
right.
So it's just having that cultural difference there.
Right.
It's hard to kind of grasp exactly.
It's very different, and we're getting there. So yeah, the rest of the gang gets completely high with Bruce and starts watching nature documentaries on moths.
Yep.
Which is not a bad thing to do, I guess.
Yep. He learns about moth pheromones.
Yeah.
Moses is like the only one. Like through all of this, all of the kids are joking and having fun. They're talking like kids, but Moses is like pretty much straight faced the entire time.
Very stone faced and serious.
Yeah, he is. You can tell there's something different with Moses.
Yeah.
He ain't got time for jokes.
Man, jokes.
Jokes, man, jokes.
Yeah. They tease Moses about getting recruited by Hi-Hats to sell, and they like jump all over him and start giving him shit about it. And then the other creatures land.
Mm-hmm. They're pure coming down.
It's just rockets, isn't it?
No, rockets go up before they come down. Them things are pure coming down.
God damn it, man. Hearing you say these lines is a lot less cool than in the movie.
What are you talking about? I'm street.
Oh, man. Anyway, the kids get really excited to go kill more monsters, theorizing that, hey, they killed one, how hard can these other ones be?
Right. Yeah, they're ready to go to war. They're like excited about this prospect.
So that they all go and gear up. We get the gear up sequence, and we get to see a little bit of each kid's home life.
Mm-hmm. Most of them have pretty decent.
Most of them
lives.
are pretty good. Yeah, there's can't remember the kid with the dog.
Yeah,
is that Dennis?
Dennis, yes.
Dennis, yeah. Like his is a little iffy because we just see his
I don't know. Hear his dad.
You just hear his dad, and his dad's pretty stern.
His dad or his uncle? I think it's his dad.
I think it's his dad. Yeah.
And
then we pointedly don't see Moses's.
Right.
The door closes right behind him. We don't see.
We don't see anything in there.
No. Yeah.
And I couldn't help but wonder if there was some significance to his apartment number, which was 191. I was wondering if, because in movies nothing is accidental.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some significance to the director.
There's got to be. But there's a little bit of accidental significance later because Sam's apartment has a blue door.
Okay.
And she is the Doctor of Doctor Who, and the TARDIS is blue. And it's like the exact same blue.
Okay. Okay, yeah,
it's very accidental.
That is clearly coincidental.
But it's very funny.
Yeah. But yeah, and then in this, in this gear up sequence, like they're grabbing like baseball bats and stuff. And one of them's grabbing like a samurai sword,
a katana,
katana that's on the wall. One kid has a hidden machete.
Yeah,
like wow, okay.
It is very important though that none of the kids have guns.
Yes,
the only person who uses the only one of the block members who uses a gun in the movie is Hi-Hats.
Yep.
And that's very important. Mm-hmm. Joe Cornish said that if any of the other kids had used a gun at all, it would have been a very different movie. Like that would have completely changed the tone and the message he was going for.
Absolutely, I could easily see that because his entire point is that these kids are it's a tragedy almost.
Yeah,
it's these kids are being forced into this situation and they are kids still.
Yeah.
But if they had guns, that would completely change it. They're no longer kids at that point. They're just straight up thugs. They're straight up gang members.
Right.
And
they're going down the same line path that Hi-Hats went down.
Exactly.
And they are most like they're trying to resist doing that. They want to have their friends. They want to be a gang to speak of, like amongst themselves, but they don't want to fall into that lifestyle necessarily.
Right. So it is very important, and
that's kind of the point of Moses' character is he's being forced into that lifestyle, and he doesn't want to.
Right.
So yeah, lots of social commentary in this movie, just from little things like that.
And then they all go riding off, and one kid has a teeny tiny bike, and I'm not
very
sure
funny.
why.
It's very funny. I love that little bike.
And then we get a Pokemon reference.
Right.
We get the first FIFA reference.
Yeah. We gotta catch them all.
Fucking Pokemon.
But they find another meteorite, which is a curled up monster. Like it's
sitting on a jungle gym.
Right. The same like wooden structure that they chased the other one into. And it eats
Pogo.
It eats Pogo the dog.
Pogo the dog. Pogo goes ballistic, goes over there, and Pogo dead.
Yeah. The monster jumps down from the structure, and they find out that it is completely black, except for blue glowing teeth. Yeah. Which is one of the coolest like monster effects I've seen.
Yeah, it's a cool glowy mouth for no discernible reason, but I don't care. It looks cool.
Yeah, because these things are vantablack otherwise.
Yeah. No, they are very, very. They're very distinctive in that. Like, honestly, all things considered, they don't have a very intricate design.
No.
They're just gorilla suits practically.
Well, their design is based off of the furry monsters from the side of the Space Invaders cabinet.
Okay.
Because, like, the monsters on the side of the Space Invaders cabinet don't have the same appearance as, like, the little blocky guys in the game.
Right.
They're, like, furry gorilla dudes.
Yeah.
And they're based off of that.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, but they're very simplistic designs.
Yeah.
They don't have eyes, and and like you said, they're vantablack, so they're pretty much featureless, other than you can tell they're furry.
Right.
You can kind of generally tell their outline, their silhouette. But then they open that mouth,
and they have like 3 rows of blue glowing sharp fangs
that almost seem to because they like glow and pulsate. It almost looks like they're swirling at times.
Yeah.
And it is such a sharp visual that it is hard to forget. Like I remember seeing that's how I found this movie. Is I saw a GIF and it showed these things like climbing over a couch, and it's just like, whoa, that looks so cool.
Right.
No, I love these things' designs. Simple, very effective.
Very effective, and it's perfect for practical effects because it's so easy to do that suit. And just have them move in a very animalistic way. It's so cool. There was 2 total monster suits for this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's very little CG used other than to just kind of replicate the suits for the bigger scenes.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
Kind of enhance, like, when they're crawling up the side of the building and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, that's a lot of CG there. But out of the entire movie, there's only like 100 CG shots.
Yeah.
Which is nothing.
Yeah. No, it's mostly practical.
It's mostly
effects.
practical.
And they look good.
They look great.
They look
yeah.
really, really good.
The monster starts chasing them, and they run into a police van, which also chases them. And Moses wipes out on his bike, and the cops catch him and handcuff him.
They start arresting him.
Yep, throw him into the van. And Moses is watching, like, the creature get closer and closer, and he's like, you better arrest me faster, you guys. We got to get in this thing.
Yeah.
And they're taking their time about it. The rest of the group is, like, on top of a bridge, and they're watching other creatures start to get closer and closer, and
Sam is in the van, too. The cops are bringing her around.
To see if they could find the kids who loved her.
Just kind of look around and see if you see them.
Yeah.
And, well, they do.
They do, yeah. The creatures murder the cops.
Splat.
Yeah. Pretty severe, like,
It's
not
gruesome.
graphic, but
it's
harsh.
gruesome. It's
Yeah.
gruesome. Like that first one, like you see the cop behind the van, and then just suddenly this black thing hits, and then blood splatters everywhere. It's
Yeah.
like, whoa, okay.
It's very sudden.
Whoomp.
But Sam and Moses are alive by virtue of being inside the van at the time. The boys plan to startle the creatures away by using bigger fireworks than they used previously and break Moses out of the van. Dennis makes it in and starts kicking a monster in the face as it chases him, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Dennis is great. I like Dennis a lot.
Yeah.
They jack the van and use their phones to contact the others about where to meet up. And Dennis is not the best van driver.
Well,
by virtue of being a kid.
Yeah, he's like 14.
Yeah. And then we find out that the first creature, the one that they killed, the car it landed on is Brewis' dad's car.
Yeah.
Which is really funny. And Brewis is like, he's got kind of the weed paranoia going on at the moment.
Uh-huh.
And he's convinced that the cops are looking for him.
Yeah.
So he ducks behind a hedgerow. And calls Ron, is like, there's cops everywhere. Like, what's going on? And Ron looks at his window with binoculars and is like playing Overwatch.
Yeah.
Like looking over and like, okay, there's no cops over here. Shit, the Blockbuster closed.
Yeah. I remember Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get a 28 days later reference. And the poor subtitles have no idea what's happening.
No, there's way too much dialogue being shouted at the moment.
Uh-huh.
Panicky dialogue. Dennis and Moses start driving the police van through a parking garage. They take off the siren by smashing it into a sign. And then they crash into Hi-Hat's car.
Yep.
And this is where problems start.
Yeah.
More so than they already have.
We got our secondary antagonist.
Hi-Hats is, I think, the primary antagonist. The monsters are kind of incidental.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah, they're just a natural disaster at this point. They're just kind of happening. Hi-Hats is obviously really upset about his car being crushed and pulls the gun on the kids and is ready to completely shoot them. They start telling him, like, no, there's aliens, there's monsters around, like, you gotta watch out. And, of course, he doesn't believe them because why would he?
He's like, he gets really upset about them telling him that it's an alien. He's like, say that word one more time. I dare you. And then they're like, well, what is it? What is it? And he's like, it's on the roof. He's like, what's on the roof? Say it.
One of them big gorilla wolf motherfuckers.
Which is kind of what they're called throughout the movie. Which is a good thing to call them. It's as accurate as anything else.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of scenes of people, like, saying that they're dogs, like, mistaking them for dogs.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they see him, it's like, oh, no, that's not a dog. That's something else.
Gorilla wolf motherfucker.
One of the aliens drops down behind all of them. They hear it, and Hi-Hat sends Tonks to go investigate. And we are down one Tonks.
Yeah, Tonks is monstered.
Yeah, yeah. He gets completely wrecked.
Yeah. And Hi-Hats, after this, kind of, there's a reoccurring theme where he blames the kids for it.
Right.
I don't think he makes the direct suggestion that the dogs, these aliens, the dogs, are, like, owned by the kids. I think the police make that Somebody makes a
Sam later,
reference.
Sam later on says like you stuck those dogs on us.
Yeah. But I think that but Hi-Hats is kind of in that same wheelhouse. Like,
where it's like these things belong to the kids, or are they're responsible for them somehow. Yeah.
Honestly, for him though, it's probably just I'm angry and need to take it out on somebody, and there's something that I hate right now.
Right. Now, Hi-Hats actually shoots one of them to death, which is like kind of sets his course for the rest of the movie, where he thinks he can just take these things and they're no problem. Which is honestly kind of the same course that the kids run into after they kill the first one,
right?
The littler one.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they beat it up with a single shiv and their mitts,
right?
So
Hi-Hats leaves in his way, and the kids get on their bikes and flee. Using a I don't know if it's a bolt cutter, I think, to snap.
They have a bolt cutter that they get Moses's cuffs off.
Right.
And throughout all these chase sequences, I couldn't help but notice that most of the kids seem to upgrade their regular bikes with motorbikes. I'm not sure how or when they did that.
I don't know, man.
But there's a scene with I'm pretty sure it's Pest who he tries to drive the motorbike down some stairs. It doesn't work out the way it does in movies.
Yeah,
humorously enough. And he ends up straight up hitting one of these things with the motorbike. It's like, damn.
Yeah, it just picks up and whap. Yeah. Which either means it's not a very heavy bike or Pest is ripped.
Yeah.
for the scrawny white kid of the bunch, he is ripped.
I mean, it is a tiny bike, though.
It's a tiny bike, yeah. As we mentioned, they are chased by some of these creatures. Biggs gets chased into a trash bin, where he stays the rest of the movie.
Yep. The entire time I was like, oh, that poor kid in that smelly trash bin. And then I noticed later on, it's like, no, it's a recycling bin, and he's specifically in the one for paper. It's like, oh, he's probably not in his gross of an environment.
No. Probably claustrophobic as hell.
Oh, yeah. Well, he makes a reference that he was running from some other kids way back when at some point, and that's where he hid as well. So this is precedented.
And we get shots throughout the rest of the movie of Biggs trying to call people and tell them where he is.
Yeah, because he's the only one who has credits left on his phone.
On his phone, yeah.
Everybody else is all out of credits.
The rest of the kids get themselves back to the block and start trying to barricade the entrance, but a monster breaks through and chomps on Pest's leg.
Yeah, getting revenge for the motorbike.
Apparently, yeah. One of the things I do kind of dig about these monsters is there's not, a special one. When we did Tremors last week, there's Stumpy, who has one of his heads blown off, and, there's always one monster who is unique or is the leader of the group or whatever.
Right.
And we don't get that in this. They're very uniform.
Yeah, they're more animals than they are.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, in Tremors, I'm pretty sure it's meant to give kind of a instead of just this horde or a swarm of them, it's meant to allow the audience to focus in on one as the representative of the whole. Because I mean, we got Stumpy in Tremors, but Stumpy wasn't better or more unique. Well, it
was kind of implied he's smarter or he's learned from the other ones.
Yeah, but no, you definitely don't get that in this one.
No, they're just a horde.
Yeah, so you don't get that, like I said, that audience. You're not able to attach all of these things to one of them, which is very likely a very intentional decision. Because Hi-Hats is the one that you're supposed to be able to kind of contextualize everything into.
Yeah.
All of your antagonist feels. Because like you said, these things are more of a force of nature going on.
Yeah.
So, or a natural disaster.
Kids run into Sam, getting back to her apartment, and push their way in as a place to hide, and also because Sam is a nurse. And she can help with Pest's leg.
Yep. We get a Ghostbusters reference.
We get a cut to Ron and Bruce, who are still stoned as hell. And that's their entire contribution to what's going on. And now we know that the monsters are inside the block. We see them inside, roaming the floors.
Yeah.
Hunting for something. Or someone.
Or someone, yeah.
While they are tending to Pest's leg and, the kids are not doing a very good job of showing why Sam should help them at this point.
Right.
They're really abrasive towards her, which I get, they're kids and they're in a very stressful situation, but
And Pest is hitting on Sam the entire time she's treating his legs. Like, dude, stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
You could say please, kids. Jeez. My Southwestern sensibilities are totally destroyed. Something smashes into Sam's door. Moses checks it out, arming himself with a bat. And we get a jump scare as one of the creatures launches itself at the people.
And then he upgrades from the bat to the katana. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's not a good idea.
Yeah. And then we get a great line from Pest where after Sam accuses them of calling like all these dogs, and she's like, Pest says,
Hey, this ain't got nothing to do with gangs.
Or drugs, or rap music, or violence in video games. This is the worst night of my life.
Yeah.
The creature breaks inside of Sam's apartment, and Moses skewers it with the katana, which shows that somehow this kid got an actual katana and not like a mall replica katana.
Yeah, right. I was thinking the same thing.
Because those
good thing too.
Yeah, because those aren't that sharp. They're very blunt. Very blunt.
Yeah, they're not meant to be used.
No, you could maybe beat one to death if it didn't bust apart first or bend, but you're not going to stab one with it.
Right. But then after he kills it, though, that's when they're like investigating it, and specifically, that's when we learn that they are essentially vantablack.
Right.
So they're talking about its fur. Just
how much more black could it be? And the answer is none.
Yeah,
none more black. Sam tries to ditch the kids and leave, and all of the lights in the building go out. I don't know if it's the aliens doing this or if this building just has really shitty wiring, but it seems like those lights go on and off an awful lot.
Yeah, they do.
But we hear more screeches from inside, so there are a lot of monsters inside this building at this point. So Sam decides that there is probably strength in numbers, even if those numbers are kids, and heads out with the gang. We cut to Hi-Hats. He's calling for a new ride and another gun, and swears vengeance against the kids.
Yep.
Just assuming this entire situation is their fault. Like, his shitty night is their fault, and he is going to end them for it.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I know he's not meant to be relatable, but I've been there. I've been to that. Like, everything is going wrong. You need to direct it at someone. In fact, I'm pretty sure anybody who's ever dealt with an angry customer working in retail probably can relate as well. Like,
yeah, but I usually don't try to murder them.
No. It's
usually.
True. It's true. It very contextually sensitive there, but
yeah,
it just depends. But you're also not a gang member dealing drugs in
South London? No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
That you know of.
Chris is leading a double life.
Triple. I have so many lives, man. This is where we get the first call from Biggs inside the bin. He's trying to let him know that he is trapped inside of it and can't get out because there's monsters. There's like one out there just keep bashing its head against him. Mm-hmm. It's really funny. We run back into Probs and Mayhem. One of them has what looks like a gun, and the other has a super soaker that he claims is filled with not water.
Yeah. We get an Xbox reference. We get an Naruto reference.
Yeah. And then Dennis takes the gun from Probs and Mayhem so that they don't have it.
But Chris, I thought you said that the kids don't get guns in this movie.
I did. Oh boy, I did. They decide to go to Tia's place because it has a security gate, and that'll give them a little bit of protection. Also, the girls are apparently badass fighters, which I believe.
Oh, yeah, after what happens, yes.
Yeah. So they make it up to her place and argue their way in. And they find out that the attack is localized to, like, this area. And the authorities are kind of just cordoning it off. They're not doing a whole lot to help.
It's all happening to the block, which is this one building.
Yeah. And, like, they keep saying how stupid it is that, like, if monsters are going to invade anywhere, why would they invade South London? And if they're just going to invade South London, why would they attack one apartment building in South London?
Right.
Which is, that's very strange. There might be a reason for it.
There's valid questions here. There might be a reason. Couldn't possibly have to do with moths.
Yeah. Sam wants to call the police, but everyone else just kind of laughs her off and tells her that the cops are just going to blame Moses and his gang for what happened, regardless of what happened, and they're all going to get arrested. And it's like, that's 100% what will happen if the police are called in here.
Yeah.
That, and as we see from outside, the cops are just kind of staring out of the whole situation. Which prompts Moses' next comment that he thinks these are sent in by the government for the express purpose of killing people like him.
Yeah, black people.
Yeah.
Black people and minorities.
Yep.
Absolutely. Which, I mean, 11 years later,
even at that time,
it rang pretty hard then. I would argue it rings harder now.
Well, we're a lot more socially conscious than we were then. I think, especially for like middle class white fuckers like us, Matt.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
We're a lot more aware of what's going on. The internet has definitely helped with that.
Oh yeah. No,
we are exactly the wrong people to be talking about this movie.
Well, I mean, we are, but we're also not at the same time. I don't know. I will just say that social media, like, for all its evils, has done a number on me and making me what I consider a better person.
It's definitely radicalized you, which is, like, I would never have thought that would have happened.
Right?
I'm glad it has.
Yeah, no, it's, like, jokes aside, I owe a huge amount to Tumblr back in the early 10s. Yeah. Like, that made me an infinitely better person, just in general.
Just being able to see that there are people out there with different lived experiences than you.
Exactly. And then now, like, no. I am happy with the way I have become and where I am.
And that's the thing, is you can only just try and keep getting better.
Right. But no, this movie absolutely has, like, that line. It has a pretty hard ring to it right now.
Yeah, definitely. So, definitely.
Like when Moses was talking about that, when he was giving his micro speech, like
they tried guns and guns didn't work, and they tried drugs and drugs didn't work, and like now we're not killing ourselves fast enough, so they're sending in something to do it faster.
Yeah,
and it's like, Jesus.
You know what I reckon? Yeah, I reckon the Feds sent them anyway. Government probably bred those creatures to kill black boys. First they sent drugs to the ends, then they sent guns. Now they sent monsters to get us. They don't care, man. We ain't killing each other fast enough, so they decided to speed up the process.
Tia opens the curtains to see what's going on outside, and we see that two of these creatures are looking in, because we see their teeth.
Yeah.
Because they don't have eyes or anything, and the rest of them is pure black. So
yeah,
all we see are, like, floating jaws.
Yeah. And that's another really cool aspect of their design, and it's even referenced when they first see the creature, is when their mouths are mostly closed, it looks like two glowing eyes.
Yeah.
Because you can just see the edges of their mouths kind of glowing.
Yeah.
And they use that effect a lot in this movie, and, like, in this scene, that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
And then the mouth opens, and it's just like, and this went from spooky to terrifying.
And those mouths open a lot wider than it looks like they should be able to.
Right.
Like, they are huge gaping maws, which is wild. I love it. They just have such a cool design. Dennis prepares to take fire with the gun he took from Probs, and, oh no, it's a pop gun. It's a little cap gun.
Don't actually
it goes poo poo and doesn't do anything. And oh man, this is where Dennis meets his end, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, the bursts in and attacks him. He's wearing a bicycle helmet, or like a motorbike helmet,
right,
and like it's crunching on that helmet. And I remember, because I'd forgotten how this played out, but I was just like, oh, it's a good thing he had the helmet. And then pop, like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, we notice that the creatures are definitely seemingly looking for Moses at this point. Like, they're gearing in on him. Tia busts off the top of a lamp and starts electrocuting one of the creatures with it, like it's a cattle prod. And then her and Dimples beat one to death. Yeah, which is amazing.
She's using an ice skate.
An ice skate is like a knife. It's great.
Yeah. No, these girls are badass.
They are awesome. I kind of wish they were in the movie more, because they are really cool.
I agree.
I want to, like, I hope, like, they're in the sequel and they have more to do. Moses tries to stab a creature with his katana, but goes back too far for a huge slice and gets it stuck in a wall. Yeah. Which leads to Sam, like, stealth killing it.
Yeah, like video game style stealth kill.
Literally does, like, she sneaks behind it and jabs her knife in its mouth.
Yep, just up its jaw.
Hi-Hats runs into Probs and Mayhem and scares the shit out of them until they tell him where Moses is at, because he is looking for the group as a whole, specifically looking for Moses at this point.
Yep. Again, Moses is kind of, well, not only the ringleader, but also the kind of the go-between.
Yeah. And he's the one that Hi-Hats was trying to recruit into his business. And
Yep.
Yeah.
And betrayed him in Hi-Hats' eyes.
The group starts talking it out, figuring out what happened with Dennis, now that Dennis is dead. And they figure out that the creatures are targeting Moses. And they assume it's because he killed the other one earlier and the rest of these are trying to get their revenge or something.
Yeah.
Which is close to what's happening, but not quite. Mm-hmm. Hi-Hats runs into the group and begins shooting at them, but more creatures arrive. He goes against them like, all right, I killed one of these. These are going to be easy kills. But it doesn't, like, they're not.
Yeah.
And him, Beats, and another one of their friends, Patrick, are chased into an elevator. Well, Moses and everyone else escapes. We hear screaming from inside the elevator, and it looks like that's the end of that subplot.
Yeah, like 3 men and a monster in an elevator is not going to end well.
Yeah. We get another flash over to Biggs. He wants to try and escape, but as soon as he looks out, there are more monsters out there, so he can't.
Yeah, I think it's just specifically one.
I think it's still that one.
It's just one stalking him.
Yeah. Bruce is still super fucking high, and he's gone out on a runner for, like, snacks or something. He opens one of the elevators to get back up to Ron's floor, and a bloody Hi-Hats steps out, and everyone else in there, including the monster, is dead.
Yeah, Hi-Hats survived somehow.
Yeah, it's like the elevator from The Shining. It's just blood.
Yeah.
So much blood.
Yeah. Hi-Hat survived out of pure malice.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, he looks messed up at this point. He's got scratches on him. He's covered in blood from monsters and from Patrick and Beats. Moses, Sam, and the rest of the kids push their way into the elevator that Bruce is now in, since he didn't want to take the bloody elevator.
Yeah.
And they are going to go to Ron's, because now that Tia's is compromised, Ron has the most secure.
Yeah, they're like, let's go up to the weed room.
The weed room, yes.
And fortify ourselves.
Yeah. But, like, then we get Bruce's really good line where Sam asks him, like, what's Ron's weed room? And he's like, it's a weed room. And it's Ron's. It's good. It's really good.
We're going to Ron's weed room.
What's Ron's weed room?
It's a big room full of weed, and it's Ron's. It's good. It's good. It's like Fort fucking Knox up there.
Probs and Mayhem from outside the building see that there is just a huge mass of these creatures crawling up the side of the building. There's like 40 of them now at this point. There's a lot.
A lot of monsters on the block. One might say that their goal is to attack the block.
There's a lot of monsters at the end of this block. And they are furry.
They're not Grover.
They're not Grover. Or Elmo. We see from inside of Ron's floor that there are quite a few creatures outside his window, like, kind of proving the theory that they are tracking Moses. And the kids shoot a bunch of skyrockets at him. Or not from Ron's apartment, on Ron's floor.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, I got
ahead. Like, in the hallway.
Yeah, in that hallway.
And the kids apparently have access to the lights, because they keep, like, they're the ones turning the lights on and off in this hallway.
Yeah. And then we get, like, this really intense scene where the kids are trying to make it down to Ron's apartment. They're shooting Roman candles at him.
The hallway is, at this point, more smoke and sulfur than it is breathable air.
Yeah, and as a result, Jerome, who is our glasses-clad member of the group...
Yeah, I like Jerome.
Jerome, I like all the kids, really. I do.
Other than, I could take or leave Pest. But...
Well, yeah, but Pest is the annoying white kid they hang out with. We know Pest. We are probably related to Pest. But Jerome gets kind of left behind from the group and gets completely disoriented, gets knocked down at one point, and Pest, like, goes back to get him, even though Pest has an injured leg. But it's too late. Like, Jerome is monstered.
Yeah, Jerome dead.
Yep. Now Pest is kind of paranoid and starts, like, swinging wildly with his bat and just destroys Bruce's head. Like, it's so weird. You get this really tragic scene where Jerome is, like, lost in the smoke and staggering around, like he gets his glasses knocked off and has a Velma moment, and then gets killed by a monster. And, like, immediately after that, you get, like, a slapsticky, like, dunk against Bruce's head with Pest. It's very jarring, but it's very funny.
It's jarring, and it's supposed to bring you back to everything else, so you don't dwell on Jerome's untimely passing.
But then we get another, like, 90-degree turn when they get to Ron's place, because Ron's like, I don't know if you want to come in here. It's pretty, like, I don't know how secure it is. And they're like, no, man, you have the most secure place in the building. Like, you got to let us in. We're going to die. Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay. And then, unlatches his door, and Hi-Hats is already there.
Yeah.
We get a standoff with Hi-Hats where he is, saying that Moses betrayed him, and he was going to make Moses, Moses was going to be his protege, so to speak, and it's like, no, you just wanted to use him. He was another thing for you to use up and throw away.
Yep.
Another kid you could dispose of. And then all the monsters bust in.
Yeah, they're all in the window.
Causing the group to hide in Ron's weed room.
Yep.
Where we notice that Moses is lit up with UV light. Like, when the UV light from the grow room lights over him, he is
glowing.
Luminescent.
Yeah.
Brewis theorizes, I think just because he watched that moth documentary, and that's the most current thing he's thinking of at the moment, that it's a pheromone that attracts the males, and that the one that they killed earlier was a female.
Well, not only that, he theorizes that these things go about on asteroids in space like spores,
right?
Until they the female lands on a planet, and then the males chase after her.
Yeah,
and because Moses murderated the female, and now her pheromones are on him and everybody who handled it. That's why these monsters are going after them.
Right.
It's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, it's several large leaps in deduction, but Bruce has stoner powers at the moment. And he watched a documentary on moths, Matt.
Yeah, we get a second FIFA reference.
And Moses makes a plan where he is going to leave the group in the grow room, and then lead the monsters into somewhere where he can blow them up. Because he knows that they don't stand a chance of being able to fight them one-on-one, and now there's a ton of them.
Yeah.
So he's gonna explode them. We cut to Props and Mayhem, where we find out that, in fact, their super soaker was not filled with water. It was filled with gasoline.
Yep.
Or some other
sort of lighting fluid.
Yeah, some other flammable liquid.
Yeah, some sort of propellant.
They managed to light one of the creatures on fire using the super soaker and another firework.
Yeah, they light it on fire at the dumps at the bin that
Biggs is hiding in. Yeah.
Hiding
and
in.
then they hide in there as well because there's more monsters.
Yeah. And Chris, I made a note. The monster was lit on fire. You know what that means?
God damn
it. It's a creature crunch guarantee.
But it doesn't do anything. It just dies.
Creature crunch guarantee.
You do it.
I will.
We see them patting down Sam with the UV light, making sure there's no pheromone on her at all.
Presumably because all of the other kids handled
the corpse, and they were playing with it.
Yeah,
it was a toy.
Yeah, but Sam didn't even she never even saw it.
No,
so
she's probably the safest out of all of them.
And they deduce that that's true.
Yep. So she sneaks out and peeks out at Ron, and Ron is like, "Is it safe out there?" And Sam is like, "No, it's really not safe."
Yeah, she's creeping around in this apartment with all of these monsters in there, and I just had to note, it's they're putting an awful lot of faith in the dude who's blitzed out of his mind, who saw 10 minutes of a nature documentary an hour ago.
Yeah. Luckily, it works.
Yeah, no, he's like you said, he's got stoner powers.
He's got stoner powers
at
the moment. Yeah,
but oh man, that's a lot more faith than I would put into it. But whatever.
Yeah. They are so lucky this works. Otherwise, they just lead Sam out of the grow room, and she's immediately torn apart by 50 monsters.
Movie'd go in a different direction then.
Yeah, it would. It'd be a lot more tragic, and would end right here. But Sam sneaks down to Moses's apartment, where we find out that Moses lives with his uncle, who's usually not around. We see that Moses has a child-sized bed with Spider-Man blankets on it.
That's when we find out that he's 15.
And
she's like, "Wow, you look a lot older." And
he's kind of flattered by that, just because in this world it's good to look older than you are.
Yep. His apartment's a mess. I mean,
there's food
learned
everywhere, and
we basically learned that Moses's life is what most, I would say, inner city tragic kid gangsters are.
He's raising himself.
Yeah, it's a sad situation that a lot of kids find themselves in, and this movie is drawing attention to that. And which is why all of the other kids have relatively nice places. It's supposed to be in contrast to this. It's not supposed to be oh, look how many people are living in these situations.
Yeah.
It's more of a look what living in this kind of situation is doing to this one kid.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're all like in poverty. Like they're all poor kids.
Right, right.
It's a rundown building. Like they're small apartments, so they're all living in poverty.
But most of the kids are acting that way more out of, I don't know, peer pressure isn't the right thing, but just because it's the social norm for that area.
Because that's how you act. That's what kids do. They're expected to go around, like, cause some trouble, get in trouble with the police occasionally, but, not...
And, they want to be cool. They want to be accepted by their peers. They think that their peers are all acting that way because of that's how they're supposed to act. Whereas with Moses, he acts that way because he has to. He is being... otherwise he does not survive.
Right.
So,
and it's all taking place in the same building. You see,
you're meant to look at this in this one building. It's a rundown building. It's the projects essentially.
Yeah.
There are people that are living in nicer apartments, but then there's also this.
Yeah.
So
it's
its own ecosystem.
It really is its own little microcosm of bigger problems, but that's for smarter people to talk about.
Right.
Sam rigs Moses' flat to explode by turning on all the gas and blocking all the windows so it builds up and making that thing ready to pop. Moses straps the dead female monster to his back like a horrifying backpack and charges out of Ron's apartment with the horde of monsters in pursuit. He leads them to his now primed to explode apartment and uses a skyrocket to blow it up.
Whole sequence is really cool.
It's really cool.
It's done in slow motion. You get you get some really good looks at the monsters for what you can. As they're chasing after him.
This was the scene that I saw on Tumblr in GIFs and stuff like that. Was all these monsters rushing down the hallway.
Yeah.
Moses manages to get out of his apartment by using his Spider-Man comforter as a rope to swing out of the building, and is then arrested. Just like Tia and everyone else said, as soon as the cops were able to, they were going to pin this on him and everyone else, and they were going to get arrested for it.
Yep.
We see Moses, Pest, and Ron all get arrested. And Ron is trying to play off of that, no, he has a disability, that's what the marijuana was for, and stuff like that.
He's the typical...
He's the supplier.
The supplier. Yeah. He's the... Yeah.
And meanwhile, Pest is just kind of a dipshit.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, he is fairly injured. Yeah. And the cops are really roughing him up while they're taking him out. Yeah. But we find that Sam sticks up for Moses while they're arresting him. The cops ask her, is that the person who mugged you? And, she has to think for a moment, and she's like, no, they helped me, this night. They were the ones who protected me. They saved me. And the entire group, everyone in the building and, from around the building starts chanting Moses' name, wanting him to be released. And we cut to Pest and Moses inside the police van. And Pest is like, dude, they're cheering for you. This night is all about you. And for the first time in the entire movie, we see Moses smile.
Yep, and that's where it cuts.
Yeah, that's where the movie stops.
Yep. Good movie.
Great movie.
Good movie. Gotta watch it.
Yeah.
It's a must watch. It's not just a good creature movie. It's just a good movie.
It really is. Yeah.
And again, I can't stress enough how fun it is to listen to these kids talk. Even though it's just so much going on. Any closing thoughts or remarks?
No, we dug into this one, I think, as much as we are qualified to.
Agreed.
There's people who are much smarter than us who have written dissertations on this movie and the class struggles and things like that. They are worth looking into.
We are not smart enough nor qualified.
No,
enough. We are two suburban white, middle-aged white guys.
Yeah.
We're not really equipped to tackle this kind of thing. But
we are not the ones to talk about this.
But there a lot can be talked about.
Can and has been said
and
about
needs
this.
to be.
Yeah,
needs to be.
All I wanna say is that they don't really care about us. All I wanna say is that they don't really care about us.
Chris,
Yeah.
what have you got for us on this crunch?
Okay, well, I got something that's not super complicated. Like, these things aren't the most difficult, like, to grok things we've ever encountered. I didn't really play into their, like, tracking by pheromones thing. That's going to be more flavor, I think, than anything.
Agree.
I could have put in effects where it's like, if they have this certain pheromone, or you have a certain pheromone on you, they get stronger, or something like that. Or, like, I thought about doing some of that, and then I was just like, nah, I'm going to keep it fairly basic, but neat. So what we have here is the Otherworldly Shrieker.
Okay, apt name.
Yep, large beast.
You can either go with you can either name these things based off of the noises they make or their glow mouths.
Yeah.
So,
and they make a lot of noise. They're very noisy guys. Large beast. We've got armor class of 14 with natural armor, 42 on average hit points, standard speed of 40 feet, and a climb of 40 feet. Because we see these things go right up a building with no problem.
Yeah.
They've got high strength and fairly high dex, fairly high strength and fairly high constitution, middling dex and low wisdom, very low intelligence and charisma. They're just beasts. They're just guys.
Yep.
For skills, we've got perception, stealth, and survival.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. They have blind sight up to 60 feet, blind beyond that range.
Makes sense.
And a passive perception of 13. They do not speak any languages. Bullshit challenge rating of 2. And a proficiency bonus of a +2. Now we get into the cool stuff that they do.
Mm-hmm.
We have pack tactics, which is kind of obvious for these things.
Yeah.
But that's just standard pack tactics where they have advantage on stuff if something's within 5 feet of them. Like if one of their allies is within 5 feet.
Yep.
And then his other ability is vantablack, where our Shrieker has advantage on all stealth checks made in low light or total darkness.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense.
Yep.
It's a cool concept for an ability. It's a very simple ability. I don't know what else you'd do with it. So
yeah, but
that works. Yeah, cool.
For actions, he's got a multi-attack where they make 2 of their maul attacks.
Okay.
They may be against different targets. I know we don't need to say that, but it doesn't hurt to
clarify.
Yeah.
Right.
It never hurts to clarify on rules that don't come up very often.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And for its maul attack, melee weapon attack, +7 to hit, reach 5 feet, 1 target. On an average...
some shopping, right?
What?
Maul.
No, not that maul.
Oh.
Damn it, Matt.
Oh, man. Okay, I'm sorry. It drops a building on him.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
We don't see that in the movie much.
Then guilt. Okay. On a hit, doing an average of 9 piercing damage. If the target is a creature, it must succeed on a DC 13 strength saving throw or be knocked prone and gain a wound.
Okay.
A creature takes 1d4 piercing damage at the start of its turn for each wound it has, and may repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns to remove all wounds.
Okay.
I based this entirely off of the Sword of Wounding magic item.
Okay.
It has a very similar effect, except that the wounds can't be healed by magical stuff. I left that out because...
Sure.
But, when you get attacked by this thing, you start accumulating wounds that start bleeding and doing damage.
I kind of like... I dig
like I
that.
said, it's super simple. But I would not want to fight these things...
Especially in a pack.
In a contained environment where, like, you got a bunch of them just gnawing on you.
Yeah, like, that's going to add up really, really quick.
Yeah, your clerics are going to be working overtime.
I dig it, Chris. I like it.
Yeah, hell yeah. Anything you'd change about this boy?
Beyond nitpicking, not really. I might decrease its climb speed just because we don't see him moving along the walls as fast as they run, but that's such a minor thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the strength is a little high, I guess, maybe, if I really have to... Again, if I have to nitpick. I like them. I think they're cool.
I based its stats initially off of the cave bear.
Oh, okay.
And then I upped the dex a little bit and that sort of thing, which is where that comes from.
Sure. What's the cave bear's challenge rating?
2.
Okay.
I just kept it the same. But
so.
The cave bear has a secondary claw attack that it does instead of a bite.
Okay.
And then has a better tracking ability and no pack tactics.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, I think it's solid. I think that's a solid block.
Hell yeah. I love it when I get Matt's stamp of approval. Gives me life.
I'm not hard to please.
I know.
But But no, I dig him. I dig him a lot. I agree with you that I think that like anything else in the movie that we see with these things, aka the pheromones,
right,
doesn't really fit in with the stat block.
Like
proper.
that doesn't need to be crunched. That can be fluff.
So yeah, that'll be it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. We do really, really appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
Hop on a Patreon. Toss us $5 a month. You get these bonus Kibbles episodes where we stat out some extra stuff. Either directly from the movies, inspired by the movie, or just random BS
from the movie. Or...
Yeah, just random weird stuff that we come up with.
Do we want to talk about the new stuff behind the paywall?
We are going to have some new stuff.
Yep.
Although, honestly, by the time this episode airs, it may have already happened.
It may have, so should we talk about it then?
I don't...
Do we want to tease it? Do we want to give them a bit of a nip slip?
Well, see, because the thing is, I don't know if I want to release those during. You know what? Fuck it. Yeah. Let's nip slip it.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but we have some. We've got some fun extra things that we're trying out for the Patreon.
We've got at least 2 new shows, and we may have more coming up. We want to make the Patreon worth subscribing to, and we know that the Kibbles episodes aren't always worth your $5.
Yeah, sometimes they're a little shorter. Sometimes, especially in the early bits, they're not entirely. They're not entirely content heavy.
I think we're getting better, and as we get more of an archive of those, like the $5 definitely seems.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because you get the backlog. But...
Right, but we wanted to have a few other shows. We wanted to record some other stuff and have a reason to do it.
So
my show, and it's the show that I've been kind of working on for a while, and kind of teasing like, oh, I've got something I'm working on, is basically Creature Crunch, but for comic book shit. It's very fun. The first episode we're doing is about Spider-Man's web shooters.
Mm-hmm. It was a blast. It was a lot of fun to record.
You want to hear me go off on comic book stuff for a long time, and then see us on recording develop a magic item based off of that. That is something you can do.
Yep. Yeah, we also tried something else that I'm still not entirely
We're still kind of
sure.
figuring out the format for that.
We just talked at each other for about half an hour about
different monsters.
But
yeah, we found some weirdo old D&D monsters and kind of showed them to each other and
then pondered which ones would win in a fight.
yeah. We're kind of still figuring out the format of that. We may work some more on that.
That one needs a lot more time in the oven. But but hopefully those are available now. So definitely check them out if you're curious.
Mm-hmm.
We would most certainly appreciate the support. Beyond that, if you want to reach out to us, you can so on Twitter at Creature Crunch, or you can email us creaturecrunchpodcast@gmail.com. If you have any recommendations or suggestions as far as movies you would like us to cover, we'd absolutely love to do some. We just got finished with our first slew of recommendations there,
and we've got something cool coming up for this May.
Yeah, we do have we've got some specialized episodes planned out for the future.
We're very excited about different things that are happening in this stupid little podcast that like 5 people listen to.
But beyond that, if you want to reach us out to us individually, Chris, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at the Library C. That's CEE.
And of course, I am on Twitter as well, at Danny_Hamsteak, my personal Twitter, where that's feel free to shout at us there if you'd like as well. But beyond that, we will see you in a couple weeks.
We need to announce
my next movie.
Yes, you're up next, man.
So this is my pick, and this is the first one in a little while that is not predetermined from me because of requests.
Yeah.
Not that I'm complaining by any means, but I wanted to kind of cover a movie that another one kind of in the same vein as Sweetheart, where it's more recent, a little bit more obscure, but also a very good movie. And we are going to be looking at 2016's The Monster. We're going to check that one out in a couple weeks, and we will see you guys then.
Cool. See ya.